Hi everyone, Leanne here from Jaded Blossom, and it is time for our March release hop. Hey, so I'm using some new products today. I'm using the No Worries Be Happy Chicks Dig Coffee Flower Centers and Leaves Stencil, Flower Stencil, Bee Stencil, our Raindrop Stencil, Rain or Shine, Rectangle Internal Scallops. So I'm actually using these stencils. I didn't get a chance to use them earlier on in the release, and I'm going to quickly do some backgrounds with this stencil. So this is the Raindrop stencil, obviously, and I'm working on the Wendy Vecchi Make Art Station, and I'm using peacock feathers and a Tailored Expressions blending brush, and I'm blending it onto Paper Tray Inks Hawaiian Shores cardstock. And I'm just really working that ink in there. I want a nice heavy coat. I'm not doing a fancy blend. I'm just laying the color down as fast as I can. So that's what I'm going for. And this is right on the card base, an A2 size vertical fold card. I'm going to go in a couple were a little lighter than I wanted. So there we go. So that's an A2 size card base. And I'm using A2 vertical cards for all of them. That's 4.25 by 11 inches scored at 5.5. So now I'm using the Bee stencil, and I'm using black soot, and I'm using my dedicated black blender brush. And I'm just going to quickly apply some black soot. Now with this one, I'm trying to, at first I just think I'm going to put a light coating. But like all things change, right? You change your mind. So this is Lemon Tart cardstock from Paper Tray Ink. Same thing, A2 size vertical card. And I'm just, like I said, quickly applying some of this Distress Oxide ink. The nice thing about Distress Oxides, I find they just blend like butter. I love them. I loved my Distress Oxides. They're my favorite. So I was just trying to apply some darker areas and leave some lighter areas. So that's what I went for on that one. So now I'm using Aqua Mist cardstock from Paper Tray Ink. This is like the lighter color. And I'm using the flower stencils. So you see they line up, and I put a little star in the upper left-hand corner of where you need to line up the stencils, just so I know I have them facing the right direction. And I'm using Distress Oxide ink in Picked Raspberry with a Tailored Expressions blending brush. And I am just trying to get a nice opaque covering of this ink. So, no nuance shading again. I'm just really trying to lay this stuff down on this Aqua Mist cardstock. There we go. So just quick and easy. I think these stencils are so pretty. The nice thing about stencils are you're making your own paper. So this is my background, literally, that I'm using onto my actual A2 size card front, which is kind of nice. So it's easy. You can choose your own colors, and Bob's your uncle. You've got a nice card. So there we go. So I'm going to lift that up, and you'll see, oh yeah, I got a pretty good coverage down there. And I was just pointing out I had it lined up according to a line on my actual Wendy Vecchi Make Art Station. So now I'm just making sure it's lined up. And I was having trouble because, of course, I didn't think of that. I really should have, lined them up in the exact same spot, not just the line, but, the corner, have the corner lined up in a square. Wasn't thinking. So basically all of the centers line up in the center of the flowers, and then the leaves line up, fill in the background, basically. I keep saying basically. So now I'm adding on the centers. I'm using that peacock feathers again, and I'm just dabbing it with that little mini blending brush. And I'm giving myself carpal tunnel doing this, but, this is what I had in my mind when I was making this card, Once I started, I thought, oh no, now I'm in for it. Now I've done it to myself. I've done it. But I quickly sped this ahead, and this did take a little bit of time. Now I'm doing the same thing now with Mowed Lawn. And I'm just showing you, this is sped up, and then I do put it into time lapse, so it goes like super darn fast. But otherwise, we'd be here all day. It didn't take that long, maybe 10 minutes, to get all the ink on these. Like I said, my wrist was sore when I was done, but I think that the end product was totally worth it. Look how pretty that is. Like, it really turned out great. I use 3M Post-it tape to, block off the edge of my card just so that ink doesn't go over my fold, just to keep things tidy. Although if it went over the fold line, who cares? It's the back of the card. No one's going to care. But I always try to block that off. But look how pretty that is. I'm really liking the stencils. So these are my rectangle internal scallop dies, and I use the second largest die. And I just cut them out of white paper tray ink cardstock. And I'm quickly applying them to my card fronts, sort of off kilter in the upper left-hand corner. I'm using my EK6X tweezers just so my fingers are out of the way so I can apply them quickly, and my Simon Says Stamp Craft Tacky Glue. So I'm going with a very similar layout, basically. So, you know, nothing too fancy here. There we are. I'm going to add my glue. You don't want to put too much glue. You don't want it all oozing out, but, you know, a little bit. A little dab will do ya. There we go. So 3 quick backgrounds. So now I'm pulling out my stamped images. Now these are from the new stamp sets, Chicks Dig Coffee and No Worries Be Happy. Now I pre-colored these images all with Copics. They'll be listed on my blog. And I cut them out using the Gable Box dies, just the little front layer die, because they fit perfectly over the tags. And then I went ahead and made little framed pieces of cardstock from the same cardstock that I used for the cards. And each one is 1/4 of an inch larger than the Gable Box die in both directions. So now these are the images from these tags. I cut them out using my Brother Scan and Cut after they were colored with a 0.4 border. And now I'm going to pop them up onto my card base, or onto my little tag front. These are, the nice thing is that, you know, some of the coloring I do on the actual tag front itself, and some of them I do, you know, the images I color and cut out, and then I'll pop them up. And it just gives it a nice dimensional look. I think it adds a little something. And, you know, I like how they turned out. I love using these tags from Jaded Blossom. They make a really, really quick tag, or, you know, like I'm doing, really quick cards. So there we are. I'm just popping them up with my Stampin' Up! Dimensionals in the small and then the normal sized ones. And now I'm popping up my last image, and look how cute they turned out. I also added on another layer that's 1/4 of an inch larger, like framing. So I added black to the B card, and then just white to the other 2 cards. I just need a little bit of separation, you know, to make it pop a little more. Now this is our honeycomb cover plate die, and I used this as a stencil earlier in the week, and you know, it already was stained with some, you know, yellow distress oxide ink, and I thought I'm going to use that as a layer on this B card. So I'm just trimming out a little chunk of it. I'm going to layer it behind just to give a little bit of texture. There we go. So I'm going to pop up these little tag images with 3M foam tape. Super quick and easy stuff. Most of my cards are super quick and easy. I don't really, you know, I don't go too crazy. There we are. I'm going to add that tilted, kind of, you know, tilted in the other corner. So I'm trying to create some movement on my card base. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue, just so it's not like, you know, dangling all over the place there. But, you know, I'm not gluing down the whole thing. It's being mostly held by the 3M foam tape. Now I'm going to add this one, this hopping by to wish you a caffeinated birthday. Now, I know that's kind of strange to put on a raindrop background, but I'll fix it with a stamp on the inside. There we go. So you'll notice that I used the lighter aqua cardstock to frame in that tag. And then I used the darker cardstock, what was it called again? Sorry, guys, the Hawaiian Shores, to frame out this one, just to give it a little bit of, you know, a little something different. I also used some Spectrum Noir clear sparkle pen on the wings on all my images. And now I'm going to use some glossy accents just to seal that in and give it some nice dimension. And, you know, and shine. It just, you know, I think it adds some presence to your images if you, you know, zhuzh them up a little bit with, you know, dots and glossy accents. And, you know, I do use my I use my Secura white jelly roll pen in a number 10 to add some, you know, highlights and stuff like that. I just think it really adds something to your card when you have some extra dimension from that. There we go. So super pretty. So now I'm going to add a sentiment from the Rain or Shine stamp set to make this card make sense. So this one is going to say, what is it called? There's a sunshiny birthday in your forecast. So that kind of makes up for the rain on the front of the card. I wanted to use all 3 stencils for the release hop. So that's kind of, it's the way it worked out. Sometimes you got to make these things work. There we are. And I just freehand stamped that with the VersaFine Black Onyx ink. So there we are. So now I'm going to add some Pretty Pink Posh sparkling clear confetti mix. And I'm adding those to the front of my cards. Straddling the image, uneven number. I'm using my Studio Katia embellishment wand to pick everything up. So, easy peasy stuff. And I'm using my glossy accents to stick down my clear confetti. I like to use glossy accents when the confetti or the sequins are see-through. When they're not see-through, definitely Simon Says Stamp Craft Tacky Glue, all of them, they work just great. But I find if it's clear, I really want to use the glossy accents. That's just me. So now I'm going to add the odd dimension to the odd little raindrop with some glossy accents, because why not, right? So I'll just pick a few and I'll add a little shine to a few of them. And I think it just adds something. I'm just going to pop a bubble there. There we go. I always keep a little needle on my desk to, clear out nozzles, pop little glossy accent bubbles, fix an errant Nouveau crystal drop, all those good little reasons. There we go. So now I'm going ahead and I'm adding a few little droplets of the glossy accents. Now you can't see them very well, but I can. And I'm going to add those Pretty Pink Posh sparkling clear confetti again. And I'm just going to pop those on. For some super fast cards, really. Like these, you can't go wrong with these. There we go. And I quite like the backgrounds, like they're fun, eh? So now I'm going to be adding some Nouveau crystal drops in ebony black, and I'm going to be, sprinkling them around. For me, you want those drops to be nice and warm before you apply them. Clean nozzle, warm drops, and they make perfect little domes. At least that's what I find. That's the perfect recipe for me. So put them in your pocket, put them in your bra, but you want them nice and warm before you use them, especially if you're from a cool climate. So now I'm using the Nouveau crystal drops in Simply White, and I'm going to pop a few onto my card base again here. And like I said, just sprinkling them around, odd numbers, no rhyme or reason. And I will put the odd one in the actual confetti. There we go. And on the last one, I'm going to only put them in the confetti because there's a lot of Distress Oxide ink on this card. And I've said in the past that the Nouveau crystal drops in white sometimes can leach color from your background from a Nouveau crystal or from a Distress Oxide ink, and they're going to change color. They won't stay that bright white, and I wanted them to be white. So that's what I did. Anyways, thank you so much for stopping by. Be sure to jump on over to the Jaded Blossom blog and visit all the design teams blogs, because they've got some awesome inspiration for you as always. Thank you so much for stopping by and supporting me with my videos, and we'll see you soon. Bye everyone.